What is up, people? On this episode, we're going to talk about the 4 buyer types, how to identify them, and why you need to speak to them differently. I want to ask you guys that are tuning in, what do these buyer types sound like? When the price buyer comes to you, what does he say? What does she say? The price buyer is the person who wants to buy at the lowest possible price. They're the bargain shopper.
Is there a discount? Is that on sale? You could do better, right? Like, that's not your final price, right? I could go to Joe down the street and get it for cheaper.
So for the price buyer, the fastest thing you want to do is refer them to somebody else. Now, a lot of you guys really hate Fiverr. What I would do is say, hey, it looks to me that you need to find the best possible price, and I don't blame you. For that, you should go to 99 Designs and Fiverr, and if it works out for you, you've saved yourself a ton of money. That's one option. Let's just say you're moving on up, and you're kind of now in that price bracket of, say, $5,000 for a logo, where you used to be $500. Here's another thing you can do. You can just refer that to an up-and-coming designer, a friend, a buddy, somebody on the internet, and get a referral fee. That's perfectly fine. And some people feel funny about that, to say that you should just give it away for nothing, but just keep this in mind. We hire sales reps that we pay a monthly stipend to, that we also pay a percentage to should they help us acquire a job. So we pay for leads. And if you ask yourself right now today, would you pay 10%? Would you pay 15%? How much would you pay if somebody handed you a live hot lead? Because that's where most of you guys are struggling. You can't find good leads. So if a job is too small for you, say they're going to pay you $1,500 and your minimum is $5,000, your MLE, if you've been paying attention, your minimum level of engagement is $5,000, refer it to a buddy and just hand it off and just ask the buddy, are you okay with paying me a 10, 15% referral fee? It could be as much as 20 or 30%. It's really up to you. Because for somebody out there, that's a fantastic opportunity. So when you meet up against a price buyer who only is going to decide based on the lowest price wins, refer them. Identify them quickly and refer them out to your network. Next up is the indecisive buyer. It's like, well, I'm not sure. Let me think about it.
You know, I have to get my notes. Let me look into this a little bit more. Like,
I have to make a couple more calls.
Like, you know, I still have a little bit of lead time on this. I'm not ready to buy.
Okay, so there's no urgency behind.
There's no urgency.
Or I'll know it when I see it, those kinds of people, right? So the indecisive buyer needs context. They don't know good from bad. They don't know low from high, and that's totally okay because it's human nature. When you go out and get an estimate for something like roof repair, you're going to get the first estimate. You have no idea if that's going to be too much or too little. And so you should go and get competitive bids. So you get 3 bids typically. So you can find out the high, the medium, and the low. Now, since this person is not the price buyer, they still might buy the mid or high price. They just need to know.
Right.
So here's the way you respond to those people. You say to them, I'm sure you need to compare, and that totally makes sense to me. Why don't you talk to a bunch of people and call me last? And if you don't find what you need, then call me. Otherwise, God bless you. You found what you needed. I'm good. Because there's a good chance that I'm going to be the highest bid. But I don't want to get into that right now since you need to compare anyways. But just know that I'm going to be the highest bid. So for the indecisive buyer, don't waste your time. Say, call me last. Tell them that you're going to be the highest bid and give them some information to help them make an informed decision. That's it. Next up is the know-it-all buyer. And what do they sound like? Aren't you using Adobe Illustrator? Why don't you slap and put a lens flare on that sucker? They just think they know it all. Maybe they're enthusiasts. Maybe they're frustrated designers at another life, that they wish they were doing design, which you do. So they really like to play the role of the art director. They want to tell you how to do it, how it gets done, and what good looks like, right? They're pretend designers. That's what I think. They're just really informed. Okay, so what we're going to do with the know-it-all buyer, believe it or not, and this is going to sound super scary to you, is we're going to embrace them. We're just going to agree with everything they say and see what happens, okay? So if they say, this isn't really difficult, I know you can just take my sketch and do it. You're like, you know what? It's not difficult. I'm pretty sure somebody can take your sketch and make it for you for a lot less money than what I'll charge you. No, but it should be really simple. It is simple. I'm not telling you it's not simple, but to get me to do it, it's going to be $5,000. You're probably just, why don't you auto trace that thing? Your sketch is amazing. All you do is agree with them 100%. Okay? And see what they say. All right, this is how you end it. The last one, the holy grail of buyers, is the value buyer. The value buyer doesn't care about price at all. They just want results. And they base their decision, their purchasing decision, based on emotion and not logic. They buy with emotion and they use logic to justify their purchase later. So what is the value buyer?
I don't care what it's going to take. Just get it done. Like, you don't need to bother me with all the details. That's totally fine. I trust you. Just go ahead and do it and then bill me in the end.
You know what that sounds like to me, Matt? It sounds like there's a a lot of urgency. It's the opposite of the indecisive buyer. They know they have a problem. They know the value of their time. They know what it costs to screw up, and they want to get it done right the first time. They want the best of everything. So if you're so lucky to find yourself a value buyer, don't treat them like a price buyer. So this is the difference between a want versus a need. See, a value buyer has a want, and it's usually emotional. Like, I want to feel successful. I want to feel like I am buying the best, versus a need. So when you go into the need, that's really talking about features, right? So when a guy walks in or a gal walks into a Porsche dealership, they've already made the decision they want that Porsche. Do not tell them how many horsepower or the traction or rack and pinion steering or ABS brakes, or whatever it is, because you're messing around with them. They just want to buy. There's an emotional connection that they're making with the car, and they want to buy. This is where you must be very careful not to go past the sale. Next time you're on a call, identify what buyer type that is, and let us know how you respond to them and what reaction you get. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell.